Lesson, page 105, work with example 1. So yesterday we did factoring our quadratic formula in standard form when it was ax squared plus bx plus c. Those were our variables. They gave us a, b, and c to represent numbers. But yesterday we always did it when a was equal to 1. Today we're going to work when a is not equal to 1. So it's going to be, in the examples we use today, they're going to be either negative or positive, but they're going to be whole numbers. We won't be working with any decimals or fractions yet, okay? But this is when a does not equal to 1. This is the factoring style you guys are going to have to use. So we have our first example. So example 1, they've given us 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. We need to be able to factor this one. We're not going to be able to use the style we did yesterday where we just took two numbers that multiply to 8 and then add to 14. That's not going to work because we have a new value in front of our x, okay? So because the number in front of x, the coefficient of x squared, is not 1, this style is not going to work. We're going to have to learn something different. Yesterday I showed you guys a style where we took all the factors of the first number in front of the x squared, so the coefficient in front of x squared, and the constant number at the end. We put all the factors down. So we're going to start with this number here. We're going to put the factors of 3. Luckily, it's a pretty straightforward number. There's only one pair of factors for 3. 1 and 3. Now I'm going to move over to the last number, so our c. I need to put all the factors of 8. I need to get a visual of them. So we have 1 and 8, we know. 2 and 4. That's it. There's obviously negatives and positives, but we're just going to put the absolute values of the numbers for now to keep it simple. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of columns. Now that we have all these factors, in the end, we're still going to have to add up to our positive 14 that we have here. So the idea here is we're going to need a pair of factors. We're going to have to multiply two of these columns. So we'll put the columns in black just so you understand what I'm talking about. We need to choose two columns. One column from our first factor 3 and one column from the factors of 8. So when we look at 3, there is only one column. We only have one pair of factors, so it's really easy to choose that column. We know it's going to be 1 and 3, so that's one of the columns we're going to use. We need to get this column and multiply it by one of the ones over here. Once we multiply them, they're going to have to create two numbers that are going to add to positive 14. So we're going to have to do some mental math here, okay? All right, so we had you guys already try it. You guys already discovered that 1 times the 2 here is going to give us 2. And we know that 3 times our 4 is going to give us 12. You're right, those are going to work. So this is the column we're going to work with. 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. So those are our two columns. It's important we circle these columns so we know that when we're putting our factors into the brackets, we have to use these numbers. So we had 2 plus 12 equals 14. Perfect. It works. So our 1 and 8 column, not important. Not doing anything with it. We're using these numbers. Now when we did use them, we did 1 times 2 and we did 3 times 4. It's important you guys stay organized and you know which numbers you multiplied by. So we know we multiplied the 1 by the 2 and the 3 by the 4. This is important because when we go to organize it, we have to do it in a specific fashion. Okay? So, because our factors of 3, 1 and 3, were in front of our x squared, those are the numbers we're going to be putting in front of our x's in these columns. So one of them is going to be 1x, and one of them is going to be 3x. We took both numbers from that column, and we put them to start each bracket. The tough part are the next two numbers. Now we used positive numbers, so we're going to have positive signs inside. This is the tricky part. Because we did 1 times 2, the positive 2 has to go in the opposite column of our 1x. So our 1x is in these brackets, so our 2, positive 2, has to go in this bracket. Has to go in the opposite bracket, okay? Which leaves us only one option left for our 4, which is still going to make sense because we multiplied the 3 by the 4. So our 3 is in this bracket, which means our 4 has to go in the other bracket. So there's a lot of mental math to this. I know it can be confusing. We're going to practice one. I'm going to give you guys a question right now. I want you guys to try it out, okay? So, let's see. I'm going to give you... That one's a little difficult. So, right now, blue notebook, page 109, question C. I think it's number 2C, okay? Your blue notebook. Blue notebook. It's the very last question at the bottom of the page. Question C. I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes. I want you guys to try out the factors. They've already given you one of the pair of factors. Okay? Try this method here. Okay. So the question asked us, 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. So we're going to take this one up right now. First thing we need to do is find the factors of the coefficient in front of x squared. So our a. Let's make sure we know these. Here's our a, our b, and our c. First thing we're going to do is find all the factors of a and the factors of c. So factors of a, straightforward. They're only 1 and 3. And factors of c, same idea. There's only one pair. This works out really nice. I know for a fact, maybe I should clarify this. When I go to put numbers into our final brackets, that means I'm going to be putting these two numbers, so this column, into the brackets. They're going to go here and here. Either the 1 is going to be in the first bracket and the 3 in the second, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. And I know I'm going to be using these two numbers. These two numbers are going to be in the second part of our bracket. Okay? I just got to figure out how I'm multiplying them to get our answer. So we know I have to make some combination when I multiply these two columns. When I multiply these columns, they have to make some combination that's going to add up to positive 7. Okay? So they're going to have to add together to positive 7. If I look across, there's really only two options. So let's first start with 3 times 1 and 1 times 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 and 2, they don't add up to 7. So I know multiplying them across like that, it's not going to work. Okay? Let's try them straight across now. 1 times 1 is positive 1. 3 times 2, positive 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. That worked. Okay? So now that that worked, I know for a fact that's my verifying that these are the right factors. So once I've done that now, my 1, because these are in front of our x squared, when I go to put the 1 and the 3 in the columns down here, they're going to have an x beside them. So I'm going to have 1x as one of them and 3x as the other. So I have my 1x and my 3x. They came from that first column. The other two numbers are going to come from the second column. Remember this green part on the outside? I don't use any of the numbers from here. This is just to verify that I'm using the right numbers and to organize how I'm going to put them in. So because I multiplied, go over this again, because I multiplied the 3 times 2, the 3 and the 2 have to go in opposite brackets. So because the 3 is in this bracket here, my 2 is going to go into this bracket down here. Opposite of the bracket the 3 is in. We use positive 2, so I put a positive sign in front of that 2. Now that they're in opposite brackets, I only have one spot left. 1, I know my positive 1 is going to go into the other bracket. Those are my two factors now. Okay? Now, I'll write a final answer clear. We don't need to put the 1 in front of the x. So we have x plus 2 and 3x plus 1. Now we're all organized. Those are my factors for my quadratic expression, okay? Let's take a look at that again. Okay, we're going to try it again. I'm going to do it a little faster because I got to get this under 15 minutes. So we're going to do this in 5 minutes, this one. I got to find the factors of our first, our A, and I got to find the factors of our C. So factors of 8, 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Factors of 3, nice and easy. It's 3, 1 and 3. So I know for a fact I'm going to be working with this column. So those two numbers are eventually going to go into these brackets. They're going to go into these spots here, our blue spots. I know those two numbers are going to work because that's the only column. Now we got to come up with some combination that is going to add to positive 10. That was our B. That's where the B is important, okay? Some combination is going to add the positive 10. So I'm working with these columns here, 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. I got to start multiplying them, see what's going to work. So let's go with, zoom in red. 1 times 1, so we'll go straight across, and 8 times 3. Let's see if these are going to work. So 1 times 1 is 1. 8 times 3, 24. 1 and 24, definitely not going to work. These are way too far apart. Okay? Let's maybe try it the other way. 1 times 3, that's going to give us 3. And 8 times 1 is going to give us 8. Any combination of 8 and 3 going to get to 10? Whether one of them's negative or positive? No. Still not going to work. We're not going to get there. So it's probably pretty unlikely we're using the column of 1 and 8. Let's try the other column. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. Is there a combination of 2 and 12 that's going to get to 10? Yes. How would it work? If 2 was negative. Okay? So if 2 is negative, it's going to come over to 10. The only problem here is to make that 2 negative, this 1 will have to be negative. 3 times negative 1 is not going to give us positive 3. So actually that's not going to work. We were close. Let's try the other way. Okay? Let's try the other way. 2 times 3 is going to give us our 6. 4 times 1 is going to give us 4. Works perfect. 4 and 6 gives us 10. So I know for a fact now I'm working with this column of numbers. So they're going to deal with these two spots here. And the blue column is going to do the other spots. So I now have my columns of numbers. Always put in our x's first. So I have 2x and I have 4x. Those are going to be the first two spots. Now here's the important part. Remember I told you whatever number we multiply them by, they have to go into opposite brackets. So because we multiplied 4 times 1, that 1 has to go into the opposite bracket of 4. So 4 is in this bracket. That means the 1 has to go into this bracket. And because we use a positive number, it's positive 1. Well, now that we've dealt with the 1, there's only one other option, which is our 3 here. So positive 3 is going to go into this bracket, and it works because positive 3 is in the opposite bracket of our 2x. So I've organized it. So whatever we multiply by has to go in opposite brackets. And let's get our final answer all together here. 2x plus 1, 4x plus 3. Okay? There's our final answer for that one. The homework quickly. So your homework is page 109 in your textbook, questions 5, 9, 11, 12, and it's all written in 113 of your blue notebook.